So the WNBA has officially brought in a new proposal. Honestly, this was nearly 24 hours ago. I don't know, it was about 18 hours ago. I was going to release this video last night, but I decided to release it today. And they finally did it. They finally brought out the new proposal. And obviously, after the meeting, the players' union knew the league was going to have to give in a proposal. The reality is, it says here it wasn't immediately known what it would offer. And reality of the situation is we don't really know. We don't really know. It says here, obviously, at least previous offer would have a max salary. And the reality is that the league wants to offer salaries. The players want to offer rev splits. And from the very start, I've said, because we know the players aren't going to get their rev split, that there has to be a salary number that is high enough for the league to just say, we're accepting this. There is going to be a salary number that's too high to turn down, even without the rev split, even if they want everything. There is going to be a number that's too high to turn down. And I don't know if they believe $1 million is that number. I think a lot of players do believe that number is too high to turn down. But I also think there's a lot of players that don't believe that. But look, at the end of the day here, we've heard nothing. We've heard nothing. And this is all from the report yesterday. But we just know officially that the WNBA has submitted their brand new proposal. And look, is this the last proposal that the league gives? No. I think that the players are going to counter at some stage. And PA is going to counter, but for me, it all depends on what the PA counters. Because there's no way that the league are going to be, there's no way the league is just going to ignore the next PA, or the PA is going to ignore the league's counter. The league is absolutely preparing for a strike, by the way. They're absolutely preparing for a strike. It seems like they're bringing people on board that are pushing them towards a strike. That does seem like it's a thing. It seems like the PA are definitely pushing towards a strike here. But at the end of the day, it says here, revenue sharing after expense, it could include things like 70 million training facility. And yeah, that's the thing where it's like, the thing with that is the Fever getting their 70 million training facility is going to be considered an expense for every team. And that's one of those weird things. If it's an expense, it's an expense for every team. Because that's one of those weird things where it's like, teams can afford to be poverty based on the current structure of the new CBA, because if, for example, the Fever or the Vox or the Liberty are making a bunch of money from selling merch, that money goes towards league revenue. So, a player for the Jazz will make extra money if the Fever start making money. That's a positive thing for them. But at the end of the day, meet with a new proposal, same as old proposal. I mean, they're not going to pull what the players did. At the end of the day, we're coming towards the end of this one way or the other. Because there's no scenario where the league goes and says, you know what, we're just going to go and there's a lockout this season. It's like, oh, we can't lose any. You know what, we actually see the way this is going. We can't lose any more. We're going to go and meet your demands with this revenue split. The likelihood of that is zero. That the league, because every bit of marketing, all these new facilities, everything that's being built, these teams every single team is massively in the red. They're massively in the red over the last couple of years. And everyone being like, oh, the Chicago Sky had a profit in 2024. They absolutely did. But they had less attendance last year in 2025. And they are building a massive training facility. So that puts them again massively into the red. So all these teams are doing all this, so they're all going to be in the red. There's not going to be a single WNBA team that short term is not in the red. So worst case scenario, they can sell off. They can use the asset for something else, use a training facility for something else. They can do what they want with it. The owners don't suffer. As much as I hate to say this, the owners don't suffer short term if there's a lockout, or if there's a strike and the league doesn't exist. Long term, absolutely, but that is a risk. I'll talk about it a little bit later from Alexa Philippou when she made it. She basically implied that one of the big reasons that the league is like that they haven't agreed with the players is that they are basically making sure that they're not taking a risk that this is a bubble. That they're not signing a deal because if this is a bubble, they're fucked. And yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's just a weird situation all around with the when it comes down to it. But at the same time, it is I genuinely think that this is close to the end. I don't think this is it. I actually think this is far from it. I think there is a very good chance that the league comes back with something and we're in talks and then eventually something ends up happening. But this is close to the line. Like, we're not going to be seeing negotiations go into we're probably not going to see negotiations go into March. Like, I still think you can very, very easily have a season start if by the 1st of March, everything's sorted. Like, I think if by the 1st of March, you've got a CBA sorted, you can absolutely have a season. Like, the expansion draft takes what? 3-4 days? Like, you can fully get an expansion draft done in 3 days. You absolutely can. Because the players know roughly, or the teams know roughly what they're going to be getting. They have an idea. They're not going in blind. They all have their lists. So I think maybe 3 or 4 days it would take for an expansion draft to actually be done. While at the same time, I would say free agency, a month. But you can do free agency doesn't have to, like it can ride with the draft. Like, as long as you get to mid-March, free agency starting. Mid-April is when the draft is. So I think you're in decent enough shape. I think you're in decent enough shape regardless of what is of what's going on, as long as you're kind of sorted by March anyway. So yeah, look, this is a really interesting scenario, and the more time is going on, the more I'm just like, this becomes really tough for the league to get in on time. But that being said, I think the reality is they can't be too far off agreeing with their or coming to an agreement. They can't be too far off. And with that being said, like, considering they can't be too far off coming to some sort of an agreement, I still think it's unlikely that there is a strike or lockout. I think in the next couple of weeks, something's signed. That would be my assumption. And look, even if they strike, until the day it is, until the day the season's meant to start, it's performative. It is performative, and I don't know if they'll go for a performative strike. I really don't know. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.